This is the per capita Nutbar Fallacy exposed.
The Nutbar Fallacy.
You've heard it before over and over again. They'll claim that the black people have the most violence, or the immigrants have the most criminals, or the trans people have the most school shooters. But hanging out inside that claim, that discussion, is the Nutbar Fallacy. First, just think about this as if it's three bubbles. You have three bubbles, and one bubble has 1.5% of, could be violent criminals, just criminals, or shooters, or whatever it happens to be. Then you have another bubble, and it has 1%, and then another bubble that has 0.5%. Well, if you make a rule, and the rule is the bubble that has the greatest amount of, A, B, or C, whatever category you're placing it as, the group that has the biggest bubble should be deported, should be jailed, should be institutionalized, or whatever your consequence you want to attach to this. Well, then you end up with an infinite regress situation. Because if that's the rule, and then you get rid of that bubble that has 1.5% of whatever category it is, then now the biggest bubble is the 1%. And if the rule is you need to get rid of the group that has the biggest amount of, A, B, C, D, whatever category you're making it, well, then you need to remove the bubble that has 1%. And then if you get rid of that bubble, now the biggest bubble is 0.5%. So the argument results in an absurdity. Eventually you end up getting rid of everyone, and the people that use it like it if they think that the bubble they're getting rid of is a different group, but eventually that noose will come to hang themselves. Inside this, it also hides a bigger problem. Let's consider that each of those bubbles represents 100,000 people or 1 million people. And the amount of the criminals or the violent criminals or the category that you're targeting is 1,500 in the one bubble, 1,000 in another bubble, and 500 in another bubble. Well, if your goal is to get rid of the 100,000 people in the biggest bubble, well, then you are still leaving behind the 1,500, the 1,000, and the 500 violent criminals or criminals or gangsters or shooters or whatever it happens to be in the other two bubbles. So you're targeting 100,000 people and you can extend the math, it could be 1 million people. You're targeting them to target those criminals in that bubble while you're ignoring all the criminals in the other bubble. So in this illustration, it would make far more sense to get rid of the 3,000 criminals that are part of all of these bubbles than it would be to just target one particular bubble. Another problem with this is that if you target the bubble that has the greatest amount of a particular negative category, well, then you're also punishing a lot of innocent people along with those guilty people. And you're punishing those innocent people instead of punishing the guilty people that are in the other groups. And the other groups could be black people or Asian people or immigrants or whatever categories you want to put them to. So it makes far more sense to target the actual people who are criminals rather than going after the bubbles that are associated with those criminals. And that's generally what history has promoted, and it's bizarre and it's insane that this idea has become popularized just in the last few years. And this is exactly why logic and ethics is so important, because people have been bringing up this idea, pumping this idea, repeating it over and over again, and people have ended up debating, well, is it really true that that bubble has the most of a particular kind of crime, a particular kind of bad thing? when really the whole underlying argument is false and lousy and just doesn't make sense. So people end up debating and arguing about the facts of, is it really true that per capita there's more trans shooters than white straight male shooters? But that argument is a waste of time. You can discuss those things, but it hides an even bigger issue or an even bigger problem, which is merely that we should be punishing the actual criminals rather than targeting entire communities or entire groups because of some of the people who are a part of that group.
Well, you thought it was A, then you argued it was B. Took a left at logic, spilled peanuts on a seat. You're sure that you're sure, but you're missing what you see. It's a crunchy little crash course in bad philosophy. Hey! The Nutbar Fallacy. That's not what that means at all. The Nutbar Fallacy. Watch a big idea fall. You're almost getting it, then you slip on certainty. The Nutbar Fallacy.